talk about contractions. Contractions are very important to use in your everyday speech. Students who don't use contractions often sound like they're just beginning to learn English, like they're at the first stages and they're still pronouncing every word separately and still learning vocabulary. That's the impression Americans get when people don't use contractions. For example, we wouldn't say, do not do that. We would say, don't do that. And probably you're already doing that. I'm assuming you're using contractions in your speech. However, I find that a lot of my students tend to avoid certain contractions. They feel comfortable saying don't, but maybe with have or has or will, they're not quite sure how to do it and they pronounce it incorrectly, or they just completely avoid it. Let me tell you one more thing. Sometimes we do separate the words. For example, I can say do not do that. If I'm very angry, do not do that. Or I did not do it. No, I didn't. I really didn't. I did not. So for special emphasis, Americans don't contract. In most other cases, they do. One more thing, in written language, you will not see that many contractions. But in spoken language, it's very different. Let's look at another example. I've been there. When people speak, this is how they talk. I've been there. They don't say, I have been there. Of course, if they want to emphasize it, I have been there. I have. I really have. In that case, that's different. But in normal speech, you would definitely make this contraction. I've been there. Let's practice contracting some very common words. The word will. I will. Sounds like I'll. Repeat after me. I'll. Don't say I'll. Put a little between the I and the L. I'll. I'll. I'll call you. I'll see you. I'll talk to you. He will. Remember, don't pronounce that W. A lot of my students still tend to put a little W and they say he'll. It's not he'll, it's he'll. He'll. He'll call you. He'll talk to you. She'll. She'll do it. How about they will? They'll. They'll see you. And here's a difficult one. It will. How does that sound? Don't say it'll. Let's change that T into a fast D and say it'll. It'll rain. It'll be hot. It'll be nice. It'll rhymes with the word little. We don't say little, we say little. It'll, little. That's a hard one. Let's practice contracting the word would. I would sounds like I'd. I would and I had sound exactly the same when they're contracted. They both sound like I'd. I would go, I'd go. I had gone, I'd gone. They sound the same. How about he would? He'd. She would, she'd. We would, we'd. Repeat after me. We'd like it. They'd love it. Let's practice has. He has, he's. Is and has sound the same when they're contracted. So when we say he's, it could be that we are saying he is or he has. He is here, he's here. He has been, he's been. Let's practice are. That's an easy one. You are, you're. They are, they're. We are, we're. We're hungry. They're home. You're tall. Let's practice some with have. I have. I've. They have. They've. We have. We've. They've been there. We've been married for a long time. Okay, let's practice some sentences now. It'll rain all day. It'll rain all day. It's good that you're home. It's good that you're home. He'll call me and I'll give him the number. He'll call me and I'll give him the number. We waited because you said you'd come. We waited because you said you'd come. I've already eaten, but he's still hungry. I've already eaten, but he's still hungry. Remember, contractions are not necessarily casual speech. This is how people talk.